The stars burned red above Veganine. Earth's secret Fleet 0 was no longer hiding. Its warships spread across the system like wolves in the dark. Enemy fighters were being torn apart. Explosions flashed across space like firecrackers. In the void, but this was no celebration. This was war inside the Valor's Echo. Captain Mara watched the battle from her cracked bridge window. Her old ship couldn't join the fight anymore. The engines were offline. Only life support remained on. That was failing too, but she smiled. They came, she whispered. They actually came. Commander Rhea stood beside her, looking at the radar. Fleet 0 held its silence for 20 years. Everyone thought it was a myth. It wasn't silence, Mara said. They were watching. Out in space, Earth's warships moved with deadly skill. The EOS-1, the command ship, led the charge. Its particle cannons blasted through enemy lines. Flanking it were the Iron Dagger and Phantom Edge, ships designed in secret and tested only in simulations. Now they were proving themselves in real combat. Inside EOS-1, Commander Reyes kept his voice calm. Hold formation. Push toward the main enemy carrier. Don't give them a chance to regroup. Silas nodded. Sir, our scans show the enemy is calling for reinforcements. A heavy dreadnought is jumping in. Class unknown. Size. Massive. Reyes didn't blink. Then we destroy it before it arrives. But the Artery Empire wasn't finished. Inside a dark, needle-shaped ship far from the battle, Supreme Strategist Corvell watched Earth's fleet with narrow, burning eyes. These humans, they hid a second fleet, just like their ancestors. During the Old Rebellion, another Artari officer spoke. Should we send the signal? Corvell nodded. Yes. Activate the Shadow Core. Let the Voidwalkers handle them. The officer's hand shook slightly. But the Voidwalkers are not stable. Neither is Earth, Corvell hissed. Do it. Back at Veganine, strange energy waves suddenly spread through the system, on board the Iron Dagger. Pilot Tessa Kai saw her radar glitch. What the? My screen's gone black. A voice came through the comms. All ships. Unknown interference. Stay alert. From the edge of space, a new kind of enemy ship appeared. Tall, silent, no heat signature, no engine trails. The Voidwalkers built. Using ancient tech stolen from dead worlds, the Voidwalkers didn't fight like normal ships. They phased in and out of reality, blinking from one place to another. The first one appeared behind a Fleet 0 destroyer, sliced it clean in half without a sound. Reyes saw it happen from his screen. What are those things? Silas shouted. Reyes replied, Nightmares? Focus all fire on them. Don't let them get close. Inside Valor's Echo, alarms blared again. Captain, Juno cried out. Voidwalker heading toward us. 1 minute to impact. Mara turned to Rhea. We can't fight them, but we can buy time. She pressed the ship-wide come button. This is Captain Mara. Prepare for emergency evac. Everyone get to escape pods. It's an order. Rhea stared at her. You're staying? She nodded. Someone has to fly the ship, Rhea grabbed her arm. We don't leave people behind. She gave him a sad smile. That's why you have to go. Outside, the Voidwalker closed in, but before it could strike, a massive burst of light tore through space. A new ship appeared, black and gold. With 6 spinning energy cores glowing at its rear, it was Earth's prototype dreadnought, the Atlas. Dawn, 1 of 1. The ship Reyes never wanted to use unless there was no other choice. Onboard Atlas Dawn. Captain Helena Rain activated its experimental weapon. A chain beam fired out, bouncing between 5 enemy ships in less than a second. All 5 exploded. The Voidwalker turned, but it was too late. Atlas Dawn hit it with a pulse, weapon ripping through its cloaking tech. For the first time, the creature ship screamed. Back in Valor's Echo, Rhea looked at the screen. He whispered. Earth wasn't just hiding. They were building monsters of their own. Mara chuckled weakly. Finally something scarier than the enemy. She stepped away from the control console. Go, she said, before I change my mind. Rhea nodded. Goodbye, Captain. She saluted. Tell them we didn't fall. Tell them we were the spark. He entered the last pod, the doors closed, and Valor's Echo, broken and dying, turned toward the incoming enemy fleet one final time. Commander Reyes received a message. This is Mara. I'm taking them with me. Seconds later, Valor's Echo rammed straight into the second Voidwalker Ritz reactor core, detonating on impact. Star was born in that moment, and even the enemy had to stop and watch. The explosion from Valor's Echo lit up the dark side of Veganine like a second sun. Even enemy ships paused. The signal of sacrifice was clear. Captain, Mara had taken out a Voidwalker with her dying ship hand. Everyone saw it. On board the command ship, EOS-1. Commander Reyes stood in silence, watching the last data stream from Valor's Echo fade away. She knew what she was doing, Silas said quietly. Reyes nodded. She gave us something we needed, hope. But the fight was not over. Artari forces were still coming. 3 more enemy fleets were on the way. Earth's reinforcements were still hours out. Fleet Zero was tired. Many ships were damaged. Some crews were running on emergency power. Supplies were low. Reyes looked at the star map. We've bought time, and we'll use it. Near the wreck of Valor's Echo, escape pods floated in space, waiting for pickup. One of them blinked with a weak distress signal. Inside, Commander Rhea drifted in zero gravity, staring at a cracked screen. Please, someone read this. He muttered. A few minutes later, a shadow fell across his pod. It was the Iron Dagger. Tessakai's voice came through the speaker. We've got you, Commander. Pulling you in now. The docking arm reached out and locked onto the pod. Rhea collapsed with relief. Elsewhere, on the far edge of the battlefield, Atlas Dawn continued its fight alone. Its captain, Helena Rain, knew the ship wasn't invincible, but it was powerful enough to stall the Voidwalkers. Focus all cannons on the phase signatures, she ordered. Don't wait for them to attack first. Her crew obeyed. The new weapon systems on Atlas Dawn were designed specifically for hidden enemies. Pulse chains, gravity disruptors, and echo mines. Each one found its mark. For the first time in the war, the Voidwalkers were retreating. Back aboard EOS-1, Reyes received a coded message. It came from deep space, a tiny voice. From Earth. This is High Command. Reinforcements are inbound. ETA. 6 hours.
Ice.
Reyes frowned. We may not have that long. Silas looked worried. Then what do we do? Reyes stepped forward and placed his hand on the fleet control console. We make sure they have a place to arrive. In the engineering bay of EOS-1, Earth's last hidden trick was being activated. Project Iron Sky. It was a portable defense net. Thousands of tiny satellites that, once deployed, would create a wide energy shield around the main fleet. The satellites had never been used in battle. Some engineers thought they would fail. Others feared they might explode. Reyes gave the order anyway. Launch Iron Sky. Tiny pods shot out from EOS-1, spreading like seeds into space. Each one blinked blue and then activated. Within minutes, a shimmering web of energy began forming a large half-dome across one side of the fleet. When the next enemy wave arrived, their plasma blasts hit the net, stopped. Cheers broke out across several Earth ships. They're working, someone shouted. But Reyes wasn't cheering yet. They won't hold forever, he said. We need to push now, hit the enemy where they don't expect. Commander Rhea, now safe aboard the Iron Dagger, entered the war room with Tessakai. And the ship's captain, I know where the enemy command ship is hiding, he said. Everyone turned to him. How? Tessa asked. Rhea held up a data chip. Before the Artari threw me into the pod, I hacked one of their relay systems.
I
copied fleet positions. Their strategist Corvell's here. Watching, Captain Kai looked at the map. If we take out their command ship, the others might break, Rhea finished. Commander Reyes received the information seconds later. He studied the enemy's position. Too deep. We'd lose half our fleet getting there. But if we wait, Silas warned, they'll send more Voidwalkers. Reyes made his choice. Send Atlas Dawn and a strike wing. I'll lead the second wave. If we remove the head, the body dies. The mission launched in silence. Atlas Dawn, the Iron Dagger, and 3 more cruisers activated cloaking drives and slipped past the main battle. Their goal, eliminate Corvell's ship. Inside his stealth flagship, Corvell was already preparing. His next move, send the rest of the fleet toward Earth's core defenses, he ordered. Even if they hold us here, Earth will be exposed. But then his ship shook, a massive impact. Warning lights flashed, and outside Atlas Dawn appeared. Like a ghost from the void, Captain Rain fired all weapons. The sky turned white, and Corvell realized he had been hunted. The enemy command ship was huge, black like deep space, shaped like a blade, floating silently in the dark. This was Corvell's Shadow Throne. It had no nameplate, no signal, no windows, but it was the brain behind the entire Artari invasion now. Earth's best warships were coming for it. Atlas Dawn appeared first. Phasing in just above the Shadow Throne, Captain Rain didn't speak much. She simply raised her hand and gave the order. All weapons. Fire. The sky cracked open. 2 heavy lances of light slammed into the enemy's shields. The hull of the Shadow Throne rippled, shimmered, but didn't break. Inside, Corvell growled. They found me. His second-in-command trembled. What do? We remind them why we rule the stars. From within the Shadow Throne, strange weapons began to spin up. Not lasers, not missiles, something older. Something from a time before the Artari were even known. A pulse beam roared out and smashed into the Iron Dagger. Shields shattered. The ship tilted hard. Inside, lights went dark. Tessakai fought to stay in her seat. We're hit. Reactor cooling offline. Captain Lauren barked, reroute. Emergency power. Don't stop moving. The ship dipped under the next blast, then it fired back with everything. Commander Reyes, leading the second wave aboard EOS-1, saw the battle unfold on his screen. They found the Shadow Throne. They're already engaging, Silas asked. Do we wait for Earth's reinforcements? Reyes shook his head. No, we finish this now. He raised his voice across all comm channels. This is Commander Reyes. Every ship, every soldier, you've fought with honor. But now we strike the heart. This is for Earth, for Vega 9, and for everyone we've lost. The fleet, EOS-1, and the remaining Earth cruisers jumped to attack speed, heading straight for the Shadow Throne inside the enemy ship. Corvell watched the approaching fleet. He smiled for the first time. Let them come. We've prepared for this moment for years. He activated the core defense. From the Shadow Throne's lower decks, 10 Voidwalkers emerge, silent, deadly. Blinking in and out of sight, one by one, they launched into the battlefield. The fight became chaos. Earth's ships fired beams and torpedoes. The Voidwalkers blinked through shields, slicing holes open. On Atlas Dawn, Captain Rain shouted, "They're trying to surround us. Focus fire on the Shadow Throne. Bring it down before we lose momentum." Her crew obeyed. The ship's massive graviton cannon charged. A storm of power built up. Then it launched. A twisting wave of white energy smashed into the ash. Shadow Throne's front section. Direct hit. The ship cracked. Corvell staggered as sparks flew across his dark chamber. Seal the breach. Don't let them in. But it was too late. The Iron Dagger, scarred but still flying, fired its final missile. It struck just above the previous impact. The Shadow Throne began to fall apart. Core exposed. Commander Rhea, aboard the Iron Dagger, stood up. Now, send in the boarding team. Small Earth gunship, Lancer 12, raced forward. Inside it were elite Marines in dark armors trained for close combat inside enemy ships. They landed hard inside the Shadow Throne and began moving deck by deck, room by room, until they reached the command bridge. Kor Arvel waited for them. He stood tall, wearing black armor with ancient Artari symbols. "You think you've won?" he hissed. "You're insects. Earth will burn." Commander Rhea stepped forward. No, he said. Earth was quiet, not weak. They fought, blades, blasters, fists. The final battle was not between fleets, between two soldiers. Rhea ducked, countered, and drove his energy blade through. Corvel's chest, the Shadow Throne, fell silent. Outside, all remaining Artari ships hesitated. Their leader was dead, their command link was gone, and Earth's fleet stood strong. Across space, the Voidwalkers froze. Then they vanished, as if they had only existed through Corvel's control. The battlefield was quiet once more. On EOS-1, Reyes lowered his head. "It's over," he said. Silas whispered. "We won." Reyes shook his head slowly. "No, we survived." But far behind the front lines, deep in the galaxy, something old had awakened. The destruction of the Shadow Throne had sent out a signal. A signal not meant for Artari, but for something older, something worse. The battlefield near Vega 9 was quiet, wrecked. Ships floated in silence. Fires flickered in space. Bodies and debris drifted among broken hulls. But Earth's flag still flew. Atlas Dawn. EOS-1, the Iron Dagger, they were all damaged. But alive Commander Reyes stood on the bridge of EOS-1, staring at the wreckage of the Shadow Throne. "It's done," Silas said beside him. "Corvel is gone. The Artari are broken." Reyes nodded, but he didn't smile. "Then why?" he said quietly. "Do I feel like this was just the beginning?" In deep space, far beyond known systems, ancient listening device blinked to life. For 10,000 years, it had been silent, but now it had received the signal. A dark beacon sent from the Shadow Throne as it died. The machine pulsed once, and something woke up back at Veganine. Earth's reinforcements finally arrived, 60 warships strong, led by Admiral Clark. They found wreckage everywhere. But also, Victory Clark contacted EOS-1. "Reyes, you mad genius. You actually held the line." Reyes smiled tiredly, barely. "You'll be remembered for this?" Reyes shook his head. "Remember the ones who didn't make it?" On Atlas. Dawn, Captain Helena Rain, sat alone in her quarters, writing a final log entry. Fleet Zero was never supposed to be used. We were the backup plan, the last line, the myth. But the myth fought back, and we left fire in our wake. Over Veganine, Earth's forces started cleanup. Survivors were rescued. Escape pods were recovered. Wounded soldiers were moved to med ships. But one group worked quietly in the background. Earth's Deep Threat Division, a secret branch that studied unknown signals. Their leader, Director Vale, stood over a strange black device pulled from the Shadow Throne's wreck. It was ancient, not Artari. Older, one of his agents approached. "Sir, we traced the final signal." Vale looked up and da-da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da. The agent hesitated. "It's not from our galaxy. Far beyond the Milky Way, in a dead system of broken planets." Something massive began to move. It was not alive. It was not metal. It was both. A creature ship the size of a moon, covered in bones and rusted armor, opened its many red eyes. The signal from the Artari reached it, and it remembered. Earth. Not from this battle, but from long ago, before humans had even known how to reach the stars. It let out a slow, deep sound, a sound that bent space itself, and it started moving. Back on EOS-1. Reyes entered the war room. Director Vale was waiting. "I thought you were with Intel," Reyes said. Vale placed the black device on the table. "You need to hear this," said. The device clicked. Then a voice, cold, layered, in a language no one had spoken for ages, echoed out. A voice that had been buried in time. A warning, translated. It said, "The flame has returned. The old ones remember, and now they are coming." Reyes stared at it. "What does it mean?" Vale answered. "It means this wasn't just a war, it was a test." In Earth's orbit, months later, a new fleet was being built, bigger, stronger. Not in secret this time. The people of Earth knew now. They were not alone, and not everything in space could be reasoned with. Atlas Dawn was being rebuilt stronger. EOS-1 was given a new engine, and a new war fleet was forming. Earth wasn't hiding anymore, Commander. Reyes stood on a new command deck. Admiral Clark approached him. "You're being promoted," Clark said. "And reassigned." "To what?" Clark smiled grimly. "To the front beyond the stars." Somewhere across the void, the creature ship flew through black space. Behind it, others began to wake. Some were asleep in asteroids. Some were buried in dead suns. Some were watching Earth even now, waiting and deep in the dark. World were words written long ago. Beware the species that rises through fire, for when they burn, they bring war with them. Earth had been outnumbered. It had been abandoned, but it never stopped fighting. And now, it was ready for the war beyond the stars. The stars above Veganine were quiet, cold, and endless. The space station floated alone in orbit, surrounded by the ruins of smaller defense satellites. Black smoke trailed across broken metal. Red warning lights blinked across every screen on the command deck. Captain Mara stood in front of the cracked window, her eyes fixed on the enemy fleet. 30 warships. Bright holes, sharp designs. The enemy looked beautiful and deadly, like a school of glowing sharks. Her ship, Valor's Echo, had taken heavy damage. Shield generators were offline. Weapons overheated. The crew was tired, bleeding, and running out of hope. "They're forming up again," said Ensign Malik, his voice shaking. Sat at the radar console, his hand clutching a blood-stained cloth over his side. 15 of them moving into strike range. Mara didn't blink. "Are the escape pods ready?" "No, ma'am. Power cells are empty. Use them to restart life support." "Understood." She looked around at her crew. Young faces, air in their eyes. Some were barely more than cadets. None were ready to die today, but dying was the only thing left. Earth Command had stopped responding. No backup was coming. Vega 2-9 had been forgotten. Still, Mara wasn't ready to give up. "Get me a firing solution on their lead ship," she ordered. "But our cannons, even a spark in the dark, can scare giants." The ship groaned as its main gun rotated. They didn't have real power, but if they could hit something important, just once, they might buy a few more minutes of life. Then the lights flickered. All power dropped for 2 seconds. Everything went dark. Then suddenly, the radar lit up. Malik gasped. "Captain, something just appeared behind the enemy fleets, 60,000 kilometers out." Mara rushed over. "Another enemy?" I don't know what it is. It wasn't there 5 seconds ago. No warp signature, no engine. Trail." She looked at the radar screen. A shadow had appeared behind the enemy fleet. Big, long, silent. It wasn't moving. It wasn't broadcasting anything. Just watching. "Put it on the main screen." The crew stared. On the display far behind the glowing enemy fleet, a dark object floated. Too distant to see clearly, but its shape wasn't natural. It looked like a spear made of shadows. Black, even against the black of space. Then it moved. Just a little, but fast. Too fast. "Did you see that?" Malik whispered. Mara nodded. "Yes, and I think they did too." The enemy ships suddenly changed formation. Some turned away from Veganine. Others turned toward the shadow. Lights danced on their hulls. Weapons were powering up, but they didn't fire at the station. Not anymore. "They're afraid," Mara said softly. Insan Juno, the youngest of the bridge crew, looked up from her console. "Captain, is that Earth?" Mara didn't answer. She didn't know Earth couldn't reach this far. No one could. But still, something had come, and the enemy didn't like it. Without warning, 3 enemy ships broke away and charged toward the shadow. The radar blinked. They vanished. No explosion. No signal. Just gone. Gasps filled the bridge. "What did that thing do?" Juno asked. Before anyone could answer, then the radar lit up again, a pulse low. Deep like a heartbeat, from the shadow came a signal. Not a message. It's just a single, heavy sound wave. It hit every ship in the area, including Valor's Echo. The bridge shook. Panels sparked. Nothing was destroyed. It was a warning. Mara stepped forward. Is it targeting us? Lex shook his head no. Only the enemy fleet. The enemy must have known too, because now they were pulling back. Fast. Ships turned. Warp drives charged. One by one, they started disappearing into hyperspace. Running. Running from whatever had just arrived on. The screen, the black ship moved forward slightly. Still no lights, no name, no signal. But now it was clearly watching Veganine. Open a channel, Mara ordered. Malik hesitated. But it hasn't sent anything. I know. Do it anyway. He opened the channel. This is Captain Mara of Veganine. We are out of power. Out of weapons, out of time. If you are a friend, thank you. If you are not, then finish it. Silence then. Just before the channel closed, a single word came back. Not yet. The screen went dark, and the shadow vanished. Just like that. Gone. The crew looked at each other, unsure what had just happened, but Captain Mara smiled. Just a little. They didn't abandon us, she whispered. Someone still watches the stars. 6 days before the battle at Veganine, Earth Command was in chaos. The main war room inside Earth's defense headquarters buzzed with noise. Officers shouted over radio signals. Screens showed enemy fleets moving closer to Earth colonies. Veganine's last message had been cut off. No one knew if the station was still alive. Admiral Chen stood in the center of the room. Hands behind his back, face calm but eyes full of worry. They're closing in on Veganine, said Commander Rhea. If we don't act now, we lose our last line of defense in that sector. We have no way to reach them, Chen said. The storm wall is active. The storm wall zone of dark matter and ion storms blocked all long-range signals and warp travel. No one could enter or leave that part of space without risking death. No way. Except one, said a voice from behind Lieutenant Carter. Stepped forward. Young, brave, a little too confident.
Ow!
He was the best stealth pilot in the fleet. His record was perfect. No failed missions, no fear in his eyes. I can fly through the storm wall, Carter said. Give me a ghost ship, and I'll reach Veganine. Commander Rhea laughed. That's suicide. No one has made it through that wall. Carter smiled. No one's smart enough. Admiral Chen looked at him for a long moment. You understand the risk? Carter nodded. I just need a chance. Let them know Earth hasn't forgotten them, Chen gave the order. The next day, Carter sat alone inside a black stealth ship, small, fast, and deadly quiet. It had no weapons, only speed and signal cloaking. He named it Whisper One. As he flew into the edge of the storm wall, lightning flashed across his path. Colors no human had names for danced in the void. The ship shook. Lights blinked. Systems flickered, but Carter smiled. This is where the fun begins, whispered. Halfway through, his ship's navigation failed. The screens went blank. The stars disappeared. Gravity shifted. He floated in darkness. Then something strange happened. A voice soft, calm, but not coming through the radio. Pilot, you do not belong here. Carter froze. Who's there? This space is older than you. It's older than Earth. You bring a message? He looked around. No ship, no signal. Just blackness. Still, he spoke. Yes, Veganine. I need to reach them. You carry hope in a dark place. Will you help me? There was silence for a few seconds. Then you are seen. The ship's systems turned back on. A map appeared on the screen. He didn't load. A new path through the storm wall. Carter followed it. Hours later, Whisper One broke through to the other side. The stars returned. Veganine's signal was silent, but its location showed on the screen. He flew fast, cloaked. Number. One could see him. Not even the enemy ships swarming around the station. Carter stared at the fleet. 2. Many he knew Valor's echo wouldn't last long. He activated the message package. A full report from Earth. Backup status. Fleet. Zero's existence. A warning about the incoming invasion. A promise. Help is coming. Carter pressed send. Nothing happened. "Come on," he whispered. The ship blinked red. Oh, message blocked. Jammed. He needed to get closer. Carefully, he flew under the belly of an enemy cruiser, avoiding detection. Every move risked death. One mistake, and he would be spotted. Then a clear signal line. He pressed send again. Message delivered. Yes. Suddenly, the ship shook. An alarm screamed. Cloak disrupted. He'd been seen. Enemy ships turned toward him. Weapons charged. Time to go, Carter muttered. He pushed the engines. The stealth ship jumped into high speed. Lasers flew past. One hit his side. Systems dropped. His controls sparked. The ship spun out. Fire in the back. Stabilize. Come on. Carter used manual flight, pushing buttons fast. He managed to slow the spin, but the ship was dying. As he looked back, he saw something behind the enemy ships. A shadow. Long, dark, watching. Just like in the old Earth myths. Carter smiled through the pain. You're real. Back on Veganine, just before the final attack, Captain Mara received a sudden ping on her console. "Captain," Alex shouted. "We just received a coded message Earth protocol, high-level clearance." Juno added, "It's from a stealth ship. Looks like it came through the storm wall." Mara read the short message. "Fleet. Zero exists. Help is coming. You are not forgotten." She closed her eyes, then smiled. "Signal all surviving crew. Prepare to fight again. Earth remembers us." Far away from Veganine, beyond the storm wall, and beyond the reach of any known star, an ancient cloud of dust and silence hid something powerful. Deep inside that darkness, dozens of warships floated quietly. Engines off. Lights off. No signal. No sound. This was Fleet Zero, Earth's last hope. A secret project, built in the shadows when the war had first started. The world believed the project had failed. Many didn't even know it was real. But it was real, and it was ready. Inside the command ship, EOS-1. Commander Reyes sat alone in the war room. He was old now. A soldier of Earth's first space war. He had waited many years for this moment. "Status. Report," he said calmly. His second officer, Major Silas, nodded. "All ships are holding formation. Cloaks stable. Weapons at 85%. Engines cold. Any message from Earth? Nothing for days." But Silas walked forward and placed a small data chip into the central console. A coded burst came through. The dark relay. Only one word repeated. Reyes looked at the screen. Awaken. He stood slowly. "Get me Fleet Command. Now." Across Fleet Zero, silent ships began to light up. Old engines hummed to life. Turrets rotated for the first time in decades. Crew members ran to battle stations. Screens flashed with mission briefings. Officers checked old war maps that had been waiting for years. The ships were a mix of old and new. Some were built in secret, using technology never tested in real combat. Others were relics refitted with new armor and experimental weapons. Inside EOS-1, Reyes stood before his crew. For 20 years, we waited in the dark. Earth's enemies forgot us. Even some of our own leaders believed we were gone. But today, we rise. We pointed to the star map. Veganine is under siege. If it falls, Earth's last colonies will follow. But we will not let that happen. Crew stood tall. Reyes turned to Silas. "Activate jump coordinates. Coordinates set. But Commander..." Silas paused. "We have a problem," Reyes frowned. "What kind?" "One of our ships, the Valiant Shade, is not responding. We suspect sabotage. It's pulling away from the fleet." Reyes's jaw tightened. "Sabotage. Are you sure?" Silas nodded. "We picked up an unauthorized transmission an hour ago. It matched enemy code." Reyes hit the emergency come boarding team to the Valiant Shade. "Take control. If they resist, disable the ship." Inside the Valiant Shade, Engineer Talalu moved quickly through narrow halls. Alarms rang. Lights blinked red. Someone had shut down the navigation system. She had already found 2 crew members unconscious in the engine room. Someone had injected them with sleep serum. She wasn't a soldier, but she knew something was wrong. As she reached the comms room, she saw a figure standing in the dark. He was wearing an Earth uniform, but the patch on his shoulder wasn't standard. "Lieutenant Hart," she said, shocked. "You? Why?" He smiled coldly. "Earth is weak, Lou. The enemy offered me more. A place in the New Order. Sold us out. No, I saved myself." Hart reached for his sidearm, but Lou didn't wait. She grabbed a loose metal pipe and slammed it into his hand. He dropped the weapon. She kicked him hard and ran for the alarm. Hart chased her, yelling, "You think this fleet will save Earth?" It was built to die, but she made it. Her hand slammed the emergency lock. Doors sealed. Lights turned blue. Security bots activated. Within minutes, Hart was caught. Back on EOS-1, Reyes got the message. Ship secured. Saboteur in custody. Gave the order. Prepare for warp. The crew moved fast. Jump engines warmed up across the fleet. Reyes watched the countdown. 10, 8. Across the galaxy, Pagani still fought to survive. They didn't know what was coming, but Earth's hidden fleet was on the move. 765. Silas leaned in. "Sir, are we ready?" Reyes smiled for the first time in years. "Let's show the galaxy we were never broken." 4 or 3. The blackness around Fleet Zero exploded in light. One by one, as the ships vanished, jumping through space like silent ghosts. Toward Viganine. Toward war. Space near Viganine was calm again, but only for now. Captain Mara stood on the cracked bridge of Valor's Echo, eyes locked on the stars. The enemy fleet had disappeared after the shadow ship appeared. But she knew they'd return, stronger, angrier, and this time, no one would be lucky enough to survive. The message from Earth had changed everything. Fleet Zero was real. Help was on the way. But they didn't know when. Time was running out. Life. "Support is failing on decks 3 and 5, Malik reported. "Medical bay down to 1 bed. No more power for heating." Mara nodded slowly. "We hold the line." Ensign Juno looked up from her console. "Captain, we just picked up a signal. It's weak. Definitely human. Looks like an escape pod."
Pod? From where? I don't know.
"But it's coming from the asteroid belt." Mara gave the order. "Bring it in." Minutes later, the small burnt pod was pulled into Valor's Echo's docking bay. Its hatch hissed open. One man fell out, coughing and half-dash conscious. Commander Rhea. From Earth Command, he should have been light years away in the med bay. Rhea opened his eyes. Mara stood beside him, arms crossed. "What happened to you?" "It was on a diplomatic ship." He said weakly, "We were trying to reach the Artari. We stopped the war before it reached Earth." Mara frowned. "And..." Rhea looked away. "We were betrayed." Flashback. 2 weeks earlier, the diplomatic vessel Harmony floated calmly in Artari space. Commander Rhea sat with a small team of Earth diplomats, waiting for the alien council to respond. But instead of peace talks, the ship was boarded by humans, dressed in enemy armor, led by Lieutenant Hart. Rhea had been thrown into a cargo pod and launched into deep space before the rest of his crew was executed. Back in the present, Rhea's voice grew stronger. Hart wasn't working alone. He said Earth had cracks on the inside. Traitors hiding everywhere, even in Fleet Zero. Mara's face went cold. "We already caught him once," she said. "But if there are more like him," Rhea nodded, "then Fleet Zero could be walking into a trap." Meanwhile, far across the system, Fleet Zero was arriving. The dark space near Viganine shimmered as ship after ship dropped from warp. Their hulls were silent, black, invisible to most sensors. But the enemy knew. The moment Earth's secret fleet appeared, the Artari Empire's forward scouts activated hidden beacons. From deep in the void, massive enemy ships began to move. Fleet Zero's arrival had awakened a sleeping giant aboard EOS-1. Commander Reyes stood at the strategy table. "Any word from Valor's Echo?" he asked. Silas replied, "We've received partial coordinates and confirmation of survivors. But what?
What?
We also intercepted enemy transmissions. They know we're here. Reyes didn't flinch. Let them come. Back on Valor's. Echo. The lights flickered again. Juno turned sharply. Captain New, contact. Multiple ships. Small, fast, not human. Mara rushed to the screen. Enemy fighters. Dozens. They were heading straight for the station. Malik shouted there. Using stealth tech? We didn't see them coming until now. Rhea stood up. They're after me. Hart told the Artillery about Fleet Zero. They think I have the fleet's location data.
Ara.
Turned to the crew. We don't let them take him. Not alive. The ship groaned as Mara gave orders to charge the last working turret. Juno activated manual targeting. Alik rerouted power from gravity systems. The ship tilted slightly, but the gun came online. Mara looked at Rhea. Time to return the favor. In deep space, Fleet Zero was preparing. On board the Iron Dagger. A strike cruiser, young pilot Tessa Kai, received her orders. She was part of the advance wing. Target is a stealth fighter squad moving toward Vega 9, her commander said. Orders are simple. Intercept, destroy, protect the station. Tessa grinned. Finally, some action. Her squad jumped into space at full speed straight, into the path of the enemy. Fighters thought the battle began like lightning. Red streaks of plasma, explosions in the black, and in the middle of it all, Valor's Echo fired its last turret, one huge blast, tearing through 3 enemy ships, but there were too many. They were closing in on the station. Suddenly, massive pulse lit up space. Enemy fighters blinked and vanished from radar. Fleet Zero had arrived. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge of EOS-1, his voice clear and sharp. This is Commander Reyes of Earth, Fleet Zero. All enemy ships near. Vega 9 are now under engagement protocols. You attacked our people. Now, we respond. Artari ships turned to face the new threat, but Tard's hidden fleet had trained in darkness for this exact moment. Their weapons were fast, their tactics brutal, and they had no fear left.